To order the July 31st, 2023 Village of Machesney Park Planning and Zone Commission meeting. Mr. Secretary, will you please call roll?
Commissioner Alms,
Here.
Commissioner Hankins,
Here.
Commissioner Klinger,
Here.
Commissioner Pfluger,
Here.
Commissioner Danielewicz is here, and Commissioner Stanton.
Here.
We have a quorum, so we'll continue. Everyone should have received the minutes from the June 26, 2023 meeting. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Communications?
No.
No communications. Item 5, variance from accessory building height regulations for property known as 10522 Ventura Boulevard. Carrie.
This property owner, who has a riverfront lot on Ventura, would like to build an addition onto his existing detached garage, but the addition would be taller than his existing garage and taller than our code allows for residential accessory structures. The maximum height allowed is 15 feet. This proposed addition would be 16 feet, 8 inches tall. This is a large, deep lot. We feel this slightly taller garage would not pose a danger or detriment to the surroundings. The applicant desires this taller garage only for his personal storage needs, and the village supports keeping larger recreational vehicles and equipment stored indoors out of sight. So we are recommending approval of this variance with the condition that it only allows an addition that conforms to the plans that were submitted with the variance application. Thank you.
Mr. Terrell, are you here? Could you come up to the podium?
I'm going to ask you to be sworn in. Can you raise your right hand? You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, I do.
State your name and address for the record.
My name is Glenn Terrell. My address is 10522 Ventura Boulevard, Machesney Park.
Thank you.
Can you add to Carrie's report? Is there anything we need to know or?
Just that I've purchased a boat that won't fit in a standard size garage, and that requires a tall door. And I'd like to be able to house the boat inside and
Sure.
instead of storing a new boat outside.
Sounds like a reasonable request. Questions from the commissioners?
No.
No? Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there a motion to approve? Oh, I'm sorry. Anybody else speak on Ventura Boulevard? Nobody signed in, so. Okay. Motion?
A motion.
Second.
Has everyone read and agreed with the findings of facts?
Yes.
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 Any further discussion? No, hearing none. Mr. Secretary.
Commissioner Danielewicz is a yes. Commissioner Stanton,
Yes.
Commissioner Alms,
Yes.
Commissioner Pfluger,
Yes.
Commissioner Hankins,
Yes.
Commissioner Klinger.
Yes.
So this will go forward with a positive recommendation to the August 2nd meeting. It's a plan.
7th.
Oh, 7th.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. August 7th, 5:30. You should plan on being here. So,
Thank you very much.
okay? So item 6, 7, and 8 are all about the same issue. We can talk about them all, we just have to vote on them separately, so.
Yeah,
uh,
I
so,
can report on all of those together.
Gary?
Like you said, they all pertain to the same lot at the southwest corner of Angeli Way and Mitchell Road. The owner applied for the same zoning change from multifamily to commercial neighborhood back in November. At that time, staff recommend denial because of what types of uses and setback distances could be allowed with that CN zoning district. If it all complied with our regulations, and I have no choice but to approve the site plan that complied with our regulations, even though it would be pretty close to the neighboring condominiums there. And staff was concerned that this could definitely be a detriment to the surroundings and to the comfort and welfare of the residents who are already living nearby. That zoning change was not approved by the village board. Now the owner is applying for the same zoning change, but they are also seeking a planned community development. Planned community developments are a way to be more creative in what we can allow for commercial projects that are mostly intended for larger shopping districts that may not comply with our regulations, but we can condition them to have specific regulations suited for that specific location. They are intended for larger projects. Our code actually requires planned community developments to be on at least 10 acres of land. Of course, this is just one lot that is only a bit over half an acre in size. So the 7th agenda item is a variance from that 10-acre requirement. So we can still consider a planned community development here, even though this is a smaller property. And the reason staff is recommending approval of this variance is because without a planned community development, we could not condition this potential commercial development at this property. And I feel that with the recommended conditions, this change to CN zoning would not negatively impact the surroundings. The future commercial use of this corner may even enhance the neighborhood if it's the right type of commercial use. There's already commercial zoning on the opposite side of Mitchell in this. At the last time we discussed this, since then it's come to our attention that the property immediately to the south was actually deeded over to the Illinois Department of Transportation. That property is never going to be developed. Before we were considering this kind of leapfrog development because we already had this commercial area that fronted 173, but in fact, this subject property now is really at the corner of 173 and Mitchell because of the land that was deeded to IDOT. So I feel that with the recommended conditions, this change to CN zoning, the recommended conditions of planned community development, the change to CN zoning could be a good thing. And I'd like to go over now what those conditions are that we're recommending. And I want to point out, if the 3 items are approved, the zoning change, the variance to allow for the PCD, and the actual special use for the PCD or planned community development, they really all need to be approved together. We don't want the zoning change without being able to condition it to keep the impact, to the area minimal. So the conditions that we're recommending: no buildings, trash enclosures, signage, lighting, parking, vehicular circulation, or paving of any kind shall be allowed in the western 20 feet of that subject property. Only lawn and landscaping and required fencing can be in that western 20 feet. Some of you may remember one issue that was a concern before was that the building could be as close as 5 feet and there was no setback for where the parking could be or where the trash enclosure could be. And that was a concern to have those things so near the residential use. For this condition, there has to be open 20 feet on that side of the property. Also, a maximum building height of only 25 feet would be allowed. A side obscuring fence shall be installed along that western perimeter of the property. A lighting plan shall be submitted for village staff review and approval. All exterior lighting shall be full cutoff fixtures that are directed straight downward. The lighting plan that would need to be submitted shall also include a photometric plan so we know the light intensity throughout that property and the light intensity at the property boundaries that would not be able to exceed 0.2 foot candles at the western and the northern sides where it abuts residential property. Any freestanding signage shall comply with the commercial sign base requirements. This means it has to be a monument type sign with an enclosed masonry base, and it shall not exceed 6 feet in height. The standard commercial regulation could have a sign up to 10 feet tall, but in this area, we feel a sign height of 6 feet would be more appropriate. And any wall-mounted signage shall not project higher than the roof line of the building. We don't want any big signs on top of this building. It wouldn't make sense in that neighborhood. Also, illuminated wall-mounted signage on the western side facing the condominiums would be prohibited. There can't be any illuminated signs facing residences right there. Exterior amplified music or broadcasting of any kind would be prohibited. The use of the subject property shall not be open for business. Any commercial use there shall not be open for business between 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. So everything would have to close by 10 p.m. and not open again till 8 a.m. at that property. We feel that makes sense, given the proximity to the residences there. Only the following uses shall be permitted at the subject property if this is approved: professional offices, government offices, medical clinics and offices, nail salons, pharmacies, photo studios, toy and hobby shops, laundromats, dry cleaners, florists, bakeries, restaurants without a drive-through, a grocery store, convenience store without a gas station, and gaming and slots, and daycare centers. Those would be the only permitted uses there. And with the special use for planned community development, there would also be a variance granted to allow a 0 side setback on the eastern property boundary. That property, there's so much, where along Mitchell Road there, the actual start of the property starts pretty far westward. I talked to our engineer about it and to the water district, because they do have a water main in that right of way there, and they have no issue with possibly allowing a building right at that eastern property line to kind of scooch it as far away from the condominiums as we could, to allow them to scooch it further away as long as it stays on the property. So staff is recommending approval of the zoning map amendment, the variance to apply for the planned community development, and the planned community development with those conditions that I just went over. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Mr. Brodzinski?
Yes.
Mr. Blazinski, would you raise your right hand? You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Bill Brodzinski. I'm office address is 6801 Spring Creek Road, Rockford, Illinois, 61114, on behalf of Boone Interstate Development this evening.
Thank you.
State your case, please.
Good evening. Well, as Carrie has outlined, we're back for I think the initial application for the zoning map amendment was a little more open-ended when we came in. This is a site that we saw as ripe for development, especially and kind of view it as the hard corner of 173 and Mitchell Road because of the IDOT's position on the immediately south of the property. The request for community neighborhood zoning was initiated just so that once we have a user for the property, and we don't yet today have a user for the property, that we'd be in a position to just go ahead and start the development so that we could market it to the appropriate user over time. And that was the basis for the request. I think my understanding is, we with these development with the planned community development part of it and the special use permitting that's coming along with the zoning request tonight, that has enabled us to work with staff to kind of find a good basis for what can go there, where we would put things, and how we develop it over time. Essentially, we're comfortable, I think, with all of the restrictions and all of the conditions placed on the recommendation for approval, with the exception of the sign requirement. The 6-foot sign requirement, just because we're set off of Mitchell Road by the right of way, and then obviously we're a good distance from the corner of 173 in Mitchell, with the IDOT property directly south of us. We think that the 10-foot zoning, or the 10-foot sign, the compliance with the 10-foot sign ordinance would be more appropriate on the site, especially if we'd be placing a sign on the Mitchell Road boundary line of the property. so that it would be, but we think that the 10-foot general ordinance requirement would be sufficient there and make whatever goes in there more visible for the surrounding traffic. But I'm willing to take any questions that you have specifically about the application.
Commissioners?
Dan isn't.
So you said the IDOT decision prompted your decision to be on the corner? Is that kind of
No,
what
it's
you're
just that when
thinking?
we're considering the property for development, how it would be developed, when we look at it, if to the extent that IDOT owns that parcel directly to the south,
Yeah.
there's not anything that's likely to be developed there
Right,
anytime soon. So what will be, this lot is essentially kind of the first appropriate commercial lot off of that corner.
right, because that's heavily wooded and you can't see anything from 173.
Right, and
So then that prompts me to, hence you want the sign requirement
Right.
modified.
Yeah, and we would obviously comply with the village ordinance, but we think that the 10-foot sign might be more appropriate. But we'd be willing to put that along that Mitchell Road side of the property, so that's the furthest kind of away from the residences.
Carrie, you said gaming slots were allowed?
Yeah, well, when you look at the gaming uses, either they're in a restaurant or they're the small, gaming parlors that really don't generate much traffic. You have like 5 machines in there. There's,
It's a very quiet use,
yeah.
very quiet use.
And how many parking stalls would be allowed in a building estimated to be
It
this size?
depends. I don't know how big the building would be. It depends
Right.
on the building. It depends on the use. There's different parking requirements, whether there's a
Right.
restaurant or whether there's a bank.
It wouldn't be a lot of parking spaces because you can't get that big of a building in
Yeah.
that location.
Right,
That'll obviously determine the way that it gets developed. If, a professional office could be suitable in a location like that. But obviously with the 20-foot setback from the west, that'll dictate the size of the building.
Mhm.
Would that parking then possibly spill out onto the road there?
It would have to stay within the property boundaries.
Outside.
Ditches.
I have a question that, so if you did a 10-foot sign, it would be shielded from the properties to the west by the structure itself, which can be 25
Right, there's a
feet.
25-foot building.
So that
height
there'd be no
requirement.
there'd be no seeing that sign from those who live to the west. Okay.
Right.
I would be comfortable rewording the condition that no sign fronting Angelee and a sign fronting Mitchell,
And
would
then,
have to
and then it'd be
be,
10 feet.
yeah,
I mean,
would have to be behind the building, The
Right,
building would
there-
need to be between the sign and the condominiums.
Right. And there would, for the position of that property, there's probably just there's a spot there that would make sense for a sign.
You'd want that sign more to the south anyway, because you want it to be visible
From 173.
173.
Right, that's what we'd anticipate.
Okay. Do you guys trust me to reword a condition, or do you want to talk it through?
Just add it to the,
Okay.
just add the condition to it.
Okay.
Okay.
And I know you don't know you don't have a prospective tenant, but what's the largest building that could be on that? Square footage, wise,
Yeah,
it's hard to see, but
It's hard to say. Obviously it depends on, because I guess what the use would determine the parking,
I
the
understand
parking
that.
requirement, but
Is that a 5,000 square foot building? Is that a 10,000 square foot building?
I don't think you'd get 10,000
I
square
don't think
feet.
you get 10.
Okay,
Not 10,
that's what I mean.
right?
It
That
seems pretty
sounds-
tiny. to me.
with parking, with the setback, and which would be the rear of the property, this is appropriate for a small professional office or.
Probably a single use as
Yeah,
opposed to two.
probably a single use.
Single
Single
use.
use, yeah. Okay. No other questions? There may be some in the future, so we'll keep you under oath.
That's fine.
If you can just
Absolutely.
give us we have other peoples that want to speak on it. Mr. Baker?
Hello, Mr. Baker. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you
Yes, I
God.
do.
State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Hubert Baker, 2075 Angeli Way.
Thank you.
Before I get started, the IDOT property everybody's referring to is the Willow Creek floodplain. So IDOT has very little to do with that. But anyway, I just wanted to put a brief statement in the minutes. We already beat this thing to death last fall, and we thought we had it whipped. But anyway, let me stumble through this best I can. As I said, my name is Hubert Baker. I am the president of Speedway Auto Mall. I can't see with them on or without them. We've been here in Machesney Park since 1995, long before there was a 173 corridor. We've enjoyed growing in the community, and I personally moved to the community in 2004. Nancy and Don also moved in about the same time as I did, Rogers. We maintained our residence here at 2075 Angeli Way to this day. When we got to Mitchell Road 173, there was a 2-lane blacktop with a rest area at the bottom of the hill surrounded by large oak trees. Once the walking path was put in, it added to the community and gave easy access to Rock Cut Park, which is what we're getting ready to build a commercial building on, and the aesthetics of that would be damaged. There's a lot of kids that play on that, and now you're talking about adding a driveway, a parking area, which would extend onto the drive-through or driveway or throughway. Because I don't care what you build, you're gonna have to have them parking out on the street, which I believe is dangerous to the bike path and the kids that are there. Now comes Mr. Keys and Interstate Development, and First Midwest, First Rockford Group, or whatever they want to go by this time. They want to put a tattoo parlor, a nail parlor or something in our community. Where we failed is we didn't come to the first board meeting that talked about boxed up. We should have came and fought then. We allowed them to have that property. Now we're blessed with a mountain of dirt and a blacktop that has the runoff into the Willow Creek floodplain. We should have fought then. The lot they're wishing to develop is designated for residential housing and not large enough for retail. They will be parking on the street. It's a heavily used area by the kids in the neighborhood and the people wishing to gain access to Rock Cut Park. And if you allow this, in 6 months, we'll be back here fighting again for the property they have north of Angeli and Mitchell Road. So I just think the zoning change is not a benefit to our community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Nancy Rogers? Okay. Randy Rasmussen?
Sure.
Sorry? Is that the same thing? Wait.
Raise your, oh wait, are you sworn in? Did I swear you?
Not yet.
Okay, raise your right hand. Solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yeah, my name is
You look
Randy.
kind of like the guy from before.
You look like Glenn
You've
Farrell.
seen me before, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Randy Rasmussen, and I own the property right next to the property that's trying to be rezoned. It's, you know, I went through all this on people's concern 8 months ago to get it 6 months ago denied. And those thoughts have not changed. You know, the safety of the kids out there, the bike path, you know, and it goes on and on, you know. I don't understand why it's zoned residential. And I was told back 8 months ago that, well, the reason they want to change is because it wasn't big enough to support a condo. Well, it might not be big enough to support a 4-family condo, but surely could do a 2-family, a duplex, or a single-family residential on that area. We don't need that type of building on that corner. You go down a half-mile walking distance from that property, you got gas, groceries, clothing, pharmacy, electronics at Myers. A mile and a half further, you got everything underneath the sun. You got Applebee's, Woodman's, everything. So as far as turning this over to CN or commercial, whatever you want to call it, people that I have talked to, because I had a petition of roughly 30 signatures on it that didn't want commercial there, but to leave it residential. And again, if it can support commercial, it surely can support residential. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Do you have that petition?
Yes, I do.
Can you turn it in?
And
Or you know
we
about
still
it?
have a copy of it.
We
but
still have
if you
it.
want
It's from the
If you want
previous-
more, I can
The
get it.
previous one. Oh, never mind that.
It's not a
We've
new
got it.
one?
We've got it.
Yeah.
No, it's the same one.
Okay,
Because
we
I
still
don't
have that.
time. If I need to go through and do more petitions, I will surely do that. Just let me know if I need to, you know, so.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'm not sure.
I can't tell, is it Sharon or Sean Rasmussen?
Sean.
Sean. Again, we'll go through this. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Name and address for the record, please.
2075 in Jellywing.
I'm sorry?
2075 in Jellywing.
And just state your name for the record.
Sean Rasmussen.
Thank you.
I'm not going to say much more than hasn't already been said, but just to, I guess, go off a couple key points there. I believe Hubie's his name. I'm sorry, I'm not good with names, but mentioned the boxed up. So what a change when I saw that go in, right? And I say that because living at the end there of that condominium, the light pollution alone that comes in at night, just from those lights, I no longer need night lights to walk around the place. And it's to the point where sometimes I can't tell if it's morning or night. So to add another building with additional lights and signage, I'm not interested, obviously. There's also a second floor to those condominiums, right? So you talk about hiding things behind a building and a fence, that sounds good, but I can see from the second floor all the way, and I'm sure I'll be able to see over a building too, right? Speeding, there's all kinds of people speeding up and down that road. We certainly don't need more traffic. The bicycle traffic, every time I back out of my place, I'm constantly on the lookout for somebody walking their dog, riding their bike. As mentioned, the kids that ride their bicycles and skateboards up and down there. I don't think it's a good idea to have additional traffic for a business. And then you talk about a business. You mentioned that a slot machine place would be acceptable. Well, to me, slots equal alcohol. Now I have drunk drivers leaving the slot place who are pissed off because they didn't win any money, not watching what they're doing, and then run over a kid, my chihuahua, myself riding my bicycle. All these, I respect somebody trying to do something with that property. I understand, and I'd probably be the same way, but it's just not a good spot for business. Like I already said, there's plenty of businesses down the road, plenty of vacant lots. So therefore, I'm against it. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Close.
Anybody else wish to speak that didn't sign up?
I didn't sign up, but I would like to speak. If I may. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Raise your right hand. Solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Vicki Gartner, 7219 Windridge Road. So I don't know how familiar you are with my neighborhood. Windridge Road comes down to Anjali. So if you turn and you go, I'm terrible with directions, go north, you would turn north off Anjali onto Windridge. We have been in that neighborhood. We built the house there initially back 17, 18 years ago. And we've seen a lot of changes. And we've seen some wonderful, amazing things. When the bike path happened, we were thrilled. We had great access to be able to walk right over into Rock Cut. To think that that area could be changed is upsetting, honestly. I can't imagine a way that that benefits the community members of that neighborhood. I can't imagine a use for that space that would be something that the neighbors would say, wow, I'm so glad we have that there. I can only imagine parents saying, my kid has to wait at the bus stop right there. I don't want to let my kids who are 13, 14, 15, 16 cross over Mitchell to go to Rock Cut anymore. Not without someone there because of a possible use that could be inappropriate for us in our neighborhood, in our community. We don't need any more slot places. And certainly you hear that a lot, but I don't know that I want a nail salon there either. I don't want a convenience store. Meijer is convenience store for us, right? We have everything we need there. And I just certainly can imagine some detriment for us in our community, our neighborhood, our families. But I furthermore can't imagine any benefit. And I think that all of you, that's your role, right? Is to find ways that you can benefit the neighbors, your neighbors, and your community.
Thank you. We will now close the public input part of this. I need a motion
On the first one?
for, item 6, zoning map amendment from the multifamily residential R4 district to the commercial neighborhood CN district.
Are we starting to discuss all of these as
Yes,
one after the motions?
You got to have a motion
Okay.
first and then,
Motion to approve.
and a second.
Second.
Okay, so discussion.
I didn't think this was an appropriate use for that property the last time it came, and I don't think it's an appropriate use this time. I don't feel swayed by the appeal of the people to put their will over somebody else's property. I just don't think this is an appropriate use. I mean, when people buy a piece of property, and those who have done due diligence look at the zoning, I think we have somewhat of an obligation to maintain that zoning throughout. I mean, I don't think we should be making map amendments without a thorough hearing and consideration. And I don't think it's appropriate here.
I have concerns myself in regards to what is called the external obsolescence of the residential properties by putting a commercial property where what is zoned residential at this point. Because it would affect the marketability of the residents especially immediately at the condominium sites.
So the condos to the west, is that a 4 or is that a 2?
There's 4 of us each one.
Yeah, so,
Mm-hmm.
because that lot is smaller than the one proposed, so there's no reason why they couldn't put another one there, right? I don't know why they didn't just put another condo there.
Well, and when I look at the potential use of that, there's a couple of things I have. I'm semi okay with that being, when we talk about a commercial neighborhood, if I go back to look at that, it's established for the convenience of persons residing in the nearby residential areas. So when some of these things on that list, I question if that's actually benefiting the people in that immediate area. The one thing on the list is gaming and slots. Yeah, it may be a quiet use, but I don't know if that really benefits the people in that immediate area. With the change with the IDOT land south of it, before when we were talking about, it's like, well, we're going to have retail along there, and this is just kind of wraps the corner with commercial. Well, now that that's not going to be developed anytime soon, I think that actually makes that property a little bit more of a sore thumb. And when I look at it, if I'm going to be looking at that corner, I'm going to see this green area, one retail building, and then we still have some planned on the opposite side of Mitchell. I just don't, I'm having a hard time seeing that as a good use to change it from multifamily into the commercial at this point.
Yeah, I'd have to piggyback on that. The IDOT news is new to me tonight. And our last discussion was, wrapping that around, and it just really just isolates this. And I mean, his venture is also part of the community. I want him to succeed, but I have a hard time changing something to a spot that, in my opinion, is not really suited for commercial. I mean, I think it still should be residential
And as.
for that reason.
Yeah, and as an appraiser would look at this, what is the highest and best use of a piece of land or a parcel or a residence or a commercial building? If you look at that and you look at what the community that it is adjacent to, the highest best use would be 1 to 4 residential homes, in my opinion.
So have you read the findings of facts for this? So you need to pay close attention to them. There's just 2 for this, so.
Could you highlight them for us again?
Oh, you don't have them there?
No, it's not coming up here. I guess I could look over here at this one, because there are only 2.
Right.
Yeah, for the map amendment, only 2.
I believe so.
There's only 2, right?
Mhm.
I would disagree with the second one. I think it would compromise the stability and character of the area.
Right, it says, will the zoning map amendment protect the character and stability of the residential, it says business and industrial areas within the village and promote orderly and beneficial development of such areas? So staff is saying yes, so you need to make your own decision there. So Jim says no on 2.
I agree with Jim. I don't think that's I think that's a no.
Yeah, I say no.
Yeah, I say no on 2 as
I
well.
say no as well.
Right, I agree, no. So that two of the 2 that are no's.
Right.
I
Okay,
think,
we got
is there
that.
any more discussion?
Discussion?
Mhm.
Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Fluger,
No,
Commissioner Hankins,
No,
Commissioner Klinger,
No,
Commissioner Danielewicz is a no, Commissioner Stanton,
No.
Commissioner Elms,
No. So this will go with a negative recommendation to the Planning and Economic Development on August 7th. Is there any reason to
Yes.
continue?
Got to do them all.
Oh, got to do it.
Gotta
Okay,
do 'em.
okay.
And it's probably more accurate to say it does not go to committee or board with a positive recommendation.
Okay,
Yeah, and I just want to point out for the planned community development, there is no list of zoning classifications that property needs to have a planned community development. Obviously, what is proposed, only commercial makes sense, but I just wanted to point that out.
okay. So item 7, variance from size requirement for a planned community development for property known as 2081 Angeli Way. And again, you said it needs to be 10 acres. This is only 0.58, I think you said.
Yes.
So the size is what we're,
They're varying it to allow a PCD on a smaller.
Right.
A smaller piece.
so.
And is that just for this instance, or is this going
Yeah,
forward?
This property,
No,
okay.
it would not change our
Okay,
code.
just
It's
wanna
just
make
for
sure.
this case.
So we need a motion.
So, yeah, I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Pretty much had discussion, I think, on the general concept, but we do need to identify the findings of fact.
Findings of facts, yeah, there's 6. There's 6 on this one. I'm looking at the right one.
Yep,
Yeah.
there's 6 on a variance.
6 on the variance. And according to,
On the findings of,
sorry,
on the
go ahead.
findings of fact, I disagree with 5 and 6.
Should probably all indicate which ones you agree or disagree with.
I disagree with 6.
Anybody else?
Yeah, 5, 6, and I think 1, I think the particular physical surroundings.
Okay. How about you guys?
I disagree with 1, 5, and 6.
I disagree with 1, 4, 5, and 6.
yeah, that's me too. 1, 4, 5, and 6. I don't think it's,
Okay.
Yeah,
sorry.
I agree with 4 also, yeah.
Yeah.
Just gotta keep reading.
Okay. Well, we'll keep it.
Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Hankins,
No.
Commissioner Klinger,
No.
Commissioner Danielewicz is a no, Commissioner Stanton,
No.
Commissioner Alms,
No.
Commissioner Fluger,
No,
Again, negative recommendation to,
It goes without a positive
without a positive recommendation to planning and economic development and the board. I guess. Sorry, wrong language. Item 8, special use permit for a planned community development for property known as 2081 Angeli Way. So,
Yeah. Even though the variance got turned down, they still need to vote on this.
Motion to approve.
Second.
has everyone read and agree with the findings of facts?
take a look at it.
I'll point out, if the board, just for the crowd, if the board votes not to approve the variance, then they wouldn't even vote on this item in particular. But you guys still need to make a recommendation.
Yeah, because this goes to committee and
Oh, I
they
see.
they
Yeah,
weigh
just
in. and
by
then
the time
this
it
goes
gets to the
and they weigh
board,
in and votes could be
yeah.
different. So
Okay.
You gotta go through them all.
I think I disagree with 1. And the findings of fact.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
1 and 2 for me.
Jim had
Sorry,
something to
Jim?
say.
I disagree with 1, 2, and 5.
I disagree with 1, 2, and 5 as well.
I disagree with 1, 2, and 5 as well.
I would disagree with 1, 2, 5. And, yeah, that's fine.
I also disagree with 2 and 5.
Is that everyone? Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Alms,
No.
Commissioner Fluger,
No,
Commissioner Hankins,
No.
Commissioner Klinger,
No.
Commissioner Danielewicz is a no, Commissioner Stanton,
No.
The motion failed, so it does not go with it. It does not go with it.
So again, this will not go with a positive recommendation to the Planning and Economic Development On August 7th. 5:30.
5:30, yep.
Thank you. Item 9, special use for outdoor self-storage in the light industrial district for property known as 11850 North 2nd Street. Sleigh ball, anybody here for sleigh? Okay.
Hold on one second, we need a staff report.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Carrie.
Sorry.
This is the former municipal maintenance property where Sleigh Ball Services previously got a special use permit for the outdoor storage of landscape material and equipment. Now they would like to take a portion of this parcel and develop that area to offer outdoor self-storage. This outdoor self-storage would take up 3/4 of an acre. It would be at the southern portion of the lot where it's currently wooded. Staff feels that this use is appropriate for the character of the area. The storage area would need to be entirely screened with solid fencing, and other conditions of approval we are recommending is that they will need to submit a civil site plan. They'll need to show us what kind of lighting fixtures they will be using, although the storage area would not immediately abut residential zoning. And some other standard conditions prohibit advertising signage to require an approved hard surface parking area in this self-storage area. Thank you.
You're up, sir.
Now you're up. You raise your right hand. You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
And name and address for the record, please.
Louis Slaybaugh, 6204 Argyle Road, Caledonia, 61011.
Thank you.
Any more to add to Carrie's report?
No, we just want to put some outdoor storage there. Maybe we'll keep it or we'll leave some space out for people to park trucks, campers. Privacy fence against crazy times. Clear fence through to the frontage road, and we'd like to have access from the frontage road so they don't have to come through our property to use them.
So no buildings,
No building.
Just parking.
No, just parking.
is that access? Okay.
Yeah,
We
then
close one off.
that's what they showed on the
Okay.
site plan.
Okay.
Oh, I was thinking it said storage units.
Yeah.
It's
did.
outdoor self-storage.
So, yeah.
Outdoor self-storage.
Yeah,
So
so
no,
they
not,
can
not like
use
what's
it.
immediately to the south.
No. We just want to have, we're just gonna have a big parking lot and we just want to be able to pull like boats, campers,
Mhm.
stuff into that area.
Yep.
Sure.
No building.
Gotcha. Pretty wooded right now.
Yeah, but we gotta get all the trees. I mean, we're a long ways. We're just in the beginning stage of this.
Okay.
We're
Yep.
actually out of storage at our place now, so we need more space as it is.
How is this property going to be secured? Would there be,
It'd be a
You
gate.
know, like
It'd
a-
have to have a remote gate if we get that far.
like a pass key or something like that?
Yeah, and the other thing is.
But there's no attendant.
No, it would have to be a key fob or something. We're not sure if we want to have it where it's, you can only come certain times when we're there. We just don't, kind of in the beginning stage of it. Because we might keep some of it for our own space because we've used so much of our parking lot already. We'd like a little more area too.
The only access to the property would be off of the frontage road, not through the landscape area?
Yeah, come from the frontage road, correct?
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just wondered, it's a landscape, but is there a quarry there too that you're active, blasting and stuff? I'm just
No,
curious.
that's all, we're a separate parcel. They're on the other side of the creek of us, but there's no quarry.
That quarry's been decommissioned.
Yeah,
years.
there's
It's
nothing
been- yeah,
going on there.
Decommissioned
no.
years ago at the lake.
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I just wondered if he was really in light industrial.
And they actually parceled off 10 acres and rezoned it to light industrial to do
Okay.
what they're doing there now.
Yeah, okay.
Good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
A motion to approve.
Second? That's not me. but- Is there a second?
Is there a second?
Is there a second? I can't.
Second.
Okay. Discussion? Pretty straightforward. I don't think there's any issues there at all.
I can't believe we need more storage in the village, but
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's appropriate
Try
for
to-
the
try to find
area.
For that spot, it's about the only right thing for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has everyone read and agree with the findings of facts?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Mr. Secretary?
Commissioner Danielewicz is a yes. Commissioner Stanton?
Yes.
Commissioner Elms?
Yes.
Commissioner Fluger?
Yes.
Commissioner Hankins?
Yes,
Commissioner Klinger?
Yes.
So this will go with a positive recommendation to the Planning and Economic Development, August 7th at 5:30. You should plan on being here. Thank you. Other business for the good? None? Any public comment? Hearing none? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yeah. Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Okay. All right.